stepped forward. He put a match to that moment, and it was one of the pivot points of a very important decade.
Without question. I mean, you have to look at it from the standpoint that you had an abundance of Americans who were against the Vietnam War, but you also had a lot of folks who felt it was your patriotic duty if you were drafted to serve your country. And for Muhammad Ali, you got to remember when he had won the heavyweight championship for the first time, beating Sonny Liston, when he stopped him, the next day he confirmed his relationship with the Nation of Islam and that he was indeed a member.
That didn't go over well. I mean, in the mainstream press,
that didn't go over well.
No, that was a polarizing moment. That Cassius Marcellus Clay was going to be Muhammad Ali, and we'd never seen anything like that.
Exactly. But in the same breath that it alienated a large populace of our nation, it galvanized the black community in favor of him. So much so to the point that when he degraded Joe Frazier, for example, in an effort to really sell fights, but also at the same time because there was a part of him that believed, like a lot of folks in the black community believed, that you were either for us or against us. You had a lot of people that their definition of being for one another and pro-black was to be against America because of what it had represented. You're talking about civil rights. You're talking about the Voting Rights Act. You're talking about ultimately the Vietnam War. You're talking about the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You're talking about Malcolm X prior to that. All of these things were fresh in the minds of a community, particularly the minority community and specifically the African American community. So when somebody like Ali, who was recognized as being so great, was willing to stand up front and center, poke out his chest and defiantly tell you, I am the greatest, I am somebody, it resonated profoundly because in the black community, according to what my parents told me, because remember, I was born in 1967, but I grew up with my parents reminding me that you had to do twice as much to get half as much, that you were going to be perceived by and large as a second-class citizen, that you were going to be convinced, or people were going to try to convince you that you were not worthy of the things that you indeed may have been worthy for. And then along comes somebody like Muhammad Ali. Not only is he telling you he's great, he's showing you his greatness no matter who you put up against him. And by the way, he wasn't prejudicial in that regard either. He beat up on white folks just like he beat up on black folks. It didn't matter whether it was Corey in the ring or Joe Frazier or somebody else.
It was a meritocracy.
He was showing you that there was a clear... No question about it. And not only was it a meritocracy, but it was very, very important to know that he harbored what some would term a healthy level of hostility towards those who didn't embrace their blackness the way that he did, because he felt at that particular moment in time, society at large put forth a concerted effort to minimize you, exactly who you are, just because of your pigmentation. And so because of it, you had a whole bunch of people rallying towards him, recognizing his greatness, not just as a fighter, not just as an athlete, but more importantly as a man, because he personified and epitomized everything so many young black men and women aspired to be, not just in their own in the privacy of their own home, in the crevices of their own mind, but in their communities, in their workplace, and everywhere else. It was just a special, special thing.
We can talk about it, and we will, and we have been, and we